Welcome everybody, this is the Leadership Forum 2023 edition, and Anna Rosling Rönnlund, designer and global trends expert, is joining us. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So your speech at the stage of the Leadership Forum just ended. So I was wondering, what did you touch on and which are the major highlights?
So I would say the major highlights would be that I talk about quite a lot nowadays, that there is a huge gap between how people perceive the world and what the data says about the actual state of the world and what implications that has for decision making. Because if we're all totally wrong about the world we live in, then there's a risk that we make pretty bad decisions, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. In fact, I know that you talked about the negativity bias among company management. How do you think this negativity bias could be avoided?
So I think step number one is to actually remind yourself that most likely you're driven by negativity. As long as you remember that, I think you can actually compensate for it a little bit. And then step two would be to actually check the data, because in the news you will see mostly negative things happening, while if you look at the data, maybe the trends and the proportions for the global trends might look a little bit different. Not always, but sometimes, yes.
And why do you think society focuses more on negative news rather than positive? Do you think this is kind of in our DNA, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think humans have always had a need to see if there's any danger around, and we need to survive. So in order to survive, we have to first check everything negative and make sure that we are surviving and thriving, right? But after that, I think also we have, nowadays, most of us do actually survive on a daily basis, but I still think we have the interest in negative stuff. It's more thrilling, more juicy, more fascinating. And I think if you look at the most really good stories have components of horrible things happening, because it attracts our thinking. So I do think if the news, for instance, started to produce only neutral or positive news talking about other things, we would get frustrated because we need to know whatever bad is happening, and we might not pay as much attention to the positive ones. So I think it's a habit that we have to force into our own thinking because it doesn't come natural.
And what would you advise managers and leaders, CEOs and so on in terms of negativity bias? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that don't trust your gut feeling only, because usually the gut feeling takes us wrong, it takes us astray. So whenever you have a gut feeling that you know what the world is like, then you should actually double check the data, because it might not be true.
And final take, you're also the co-author of the bestseller book, Factfulness. Can you tell us more? What is it about, and specifically what's the message you'd like to convey with the book?
So Factfulness is a book that tries to give you some hands-on tips how you can understand the world better without necessarily spending years and years of learning by heart everything that is going on. So we try to give an overview of the biggest trends and proportions globally, and we try to give you some tips and tricks how you can be constructive and sort of try to shape the way you think about the world. So you have some rules of thumb you can apply to your thinking to sort of guess more correctly about the world, at least. That will take you a little bit.
Yeah. Right. Great. Thank you very much. Anna Rosling Rönnlund, thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.